Hi, I'm Todd Shalom, founder and director of Elastic City. Elastic City commissions artists to lead conceptual and poetic walks throughout and outside of New York. These are walks that heighten our awareness, explore our senses, and make group rituals and dialogue with public space. On these walks, we might make a visual poem of found objects in a local park, or a shadow large enough to give the sidewalk a break from the heat. We might make an ensemble that plays the graphic score of a given neighborhood, or a large moving monument from our bodies on the steps of the New York Supreme Court. I started giving walks in 2004. I was studying poetry and sound in San Francisco. I was still figuring out my poems and what I wanted them to do. My poems functioned more like musical scores, and yet they didn't give me, nor I imagine the reader or listener, as much satisfaction as a piece of music. So I picked up a magazine and discovered the Vancouver-Based Acoustic Ecology movement. They were based in the mid-60s, they're still around now. Their work was about understanding the environment through its sounds. So this included making soundscape compositions and sound maps that showed different neighborhoods throughout the day and the range of sounds they contained. The part that really stuck with me was their sound walk, an active listening walk where participants are led by a musician through a neighborhood engaging in various listening exercises. If you want, we can try one. Close your eyes if you'd like. And are the sounds you're listening to, are they caused by humans? By something technological? By something else in nature? Think of that ratio. And then the quality of the sounds. Are they repetitive, as in like on a loop? Or are they continuous, as in they don't stop? Or are they unique? So this got me really excited, a poetic way to listen. This would be a way to bring my poetry off of the page and onto the street. I took a bunch of their techniques and created my own walk, a sound walk through the Mission in San Francisco. I then repeated this in the Castro, and then over the course of years in other places I've lived, in Tel Aviv and Buenos Aires. And how I got to Buenos Aires was through the walks. So I wanted to give a walk in Buenos Aires when I was there on vacation for 2 weeks. And I reached out to some galleries and partnered with one that hosted the sound walk. And a woman who RSVP'd said, Todd, you should go to Palermo to this cafe. I think you'd like it. So I did, and I'm sitting at a communal table, and I'm with my book, and I'm writing about the trip. And two people walk in, and one goes, Te conozco, de tu foto. I recognize you from your photo. And I'm thinking, my photo? What photo? And it was a photo that my friend, a Brooklyn-based photographer, had taken of me and put it on his website. And this guy recognized me from over 5,000 miles away. As it turns out, he was an architect and a photographer. Anyway, we became fast friends, and before I know it, I'm recording sounds in the apartment he lived in with his boyfriend, who was a well-known textile designer. And the sounds that we recorded, the designer wanted to use for his next fashion show. So they invited me back down to Buenos Aires about a month later, and I thought, I have good luck here. Let me see what happens. I saved up some money from this temp job I was working at Pfizer, helping to somehow bust fake Viagra manufacturers through managing a large Excel spreadsheet. And I moved to Buenos Aires in September 2007. And it was incredible down there. I found an eager and receptive audience for my work. It functioned as a laboratory for me. Of course, they didn't understand the poetry I was writing, and I thought about making work that could more fluidly function across languages and cultures. I started playing more guitar, recording some songs, and working on some ideas for participatory work. And I partnered with 3 guys from the nearby city of La Plata to make participatory improvisational music. During my time down there, I was traveling, and I went to Cusco, Peru in July '08, and delirious from altitude sickness, I started sipping the tea from coca leaves, and I thought, what am I going to do when I return back to New York? I didn't want to temp again. How can I take what I like to do, make a living from it, and still feel the sense of exploration and wonder that I feel when I'm traveling? So I came up with the idea for Elastic City. The idea is that the city expands and contracts depending on our focus. I returned to New York, and for the next 18 months, mapped out the structure of the company, worked with the collective Lucha, who helped design the website, and got advice from friends on how to get this thing started. The idea is that I can push on the walks that I give and break out of leading solely sound walks. And for the things that were not my expertise, but that I wanted to learn about, I could commission artists. Now keep in mind, there's a history to the walk as art form. A commonly known example are the Situationists de Reeves, intentionally getting lost to find the city anew. Contemporary artists use walks as part of their works as well, but these are often solitary journeys. So as far as I know, there's never been an initiative to take artists from their respective, mostly non-performative disciplines and bring them to the walk form where they're leading people through a given place, using their particular lens and engaging in a dialogue where they make stuff together in conjunction with public space. Also, outside of festivals or symposiums, there's never been an organization dedicated to presenting only this type of work on a continual basis. So it works like this. I find an artist to lead a walk, or they find me. We get together and chat about ideas that are urgent for them. What do they need to explore? Or if they're not sure, what place inspires them? There's a self-selecting group of participants who choose to come on the walk, and they're eager to participate. It's not like a performance in a gallery where you might have to coax someone into doing something. One is already walking. Participation is already built in. What does the artist want to do with them? We talk about the concept, we make sure it's tight, and we form it into a walk description. From there, I need to know the starting point, title, duration, anything else the participant might need to know beforehand. Most walks are around 90 minutes, hold from 6 to 15 people, and take place in the 5 boroughs. So once the concept is solid and they've had a chance to plan the walk, we get together for a rehearsal. I might suggest, oh, we should stop here, as it's, a shady part of the street where this is a ripe time to try this exercise. I'm looking to bring out the poetry in the walk, a symbolic starting or ending point. I also want to make sure that the walk has a good arc and doesn't peak in the first 10 minutes. Keep in mind the artists are not tour guides, nor are they giving fact-based walks. So for me, this is an extension of a poem, a living poem. Sometimes in a literal way, turning a corner is like a line break, similar to how Walter Murch, the director of Apocalypse Now, the editor of Apocalypse Now and The Godfather, said that he likes to make film cuts on blinks. So like moving to the other side of the street, this is another moment that offers an opportunity for something new. The walks tend to highlight unconscious or conscious coincidences. It's like the poetry in life, like the poetry on a movie that a movie marquee can make. On a walk, we look for these things, we submit to them, but are careful not to force them and know when to move on. So the walks are inherently political, poetic, educational, personal, and experimental. I think a good walk is educational in an experiential way, somehow entertaining, makes one feel vulnerable, and then empowered. So with that in mind, let's try something. If everyone could put their fingers on their ears, more specifically on your tragus, like this, right here, and tap them. With your left finger, rub the tragus softly and slowly, and then a bit more quickly. With your right finger, you can tap at your own pace. Now, close your eyes, and I would just say rub the area. Make a 10-second composition for yourself. So aesthetically, the artist leading the walk has to earn the trust of participants. One has a very eager audience of participants in the palm of your hand, if you know how to facilitate them. I'm interested in figuring out with each artist on a walk, how do we use that power, that spirit of cooperation for good, for empowerment, for social change, for community. The walk can actually do that. Sometimes it's in a fleeting gesture. Sometimes these relationships stay. Essentially, what's the politic in each walk? What do you want to put out there in the world? So we launched in May of 2010 with 11 artists who led walks through New York, with one walk in London and one in Buenos Aires. On last year's The World Trade Center walk, a psychotherapist led a walk that entailed going to the World Trade Center site and using landscape embodiment techniques to connect with it. The challenge was how to acknowledge the past history in the site, but to focus on the present. On Monumental Walk near City Hall, a theater director led participants to make monuments with their bodies in response to the monuments in public space. He was able to earn the trust of participants very quickly, helping them feel comfortable, not judged, and free to use their bodies as an ultimate form of expression. Particularly at first, I wanted to work with artists, for the most part, that I knew. I didn't know what I'd be asking of them, so I had to make sure the trust was there from the beginning. The response from the press was overwhelmingly positive, and we've been essentially subverting the walking tour genre to play off of and reconfigure a populist art form. This season, we have 20 artists leading walks, mostly through New York, with one in Detroit, Buenos Aires, and Sao Paulo. Some of the season's highlights so far have been We in Our Shadows in Coney Island, where an artist led participants through Coney Island and they explored their own shadows and the rapidly changing Coney Island shadowscape. The fragrance of flavor in the Cranford Rose Garden and the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, led by its rosarian, which paired the scent of roses with the flavor notes of wines. And I just returned from our most ambitious walk to date, Total Detroit, where Nigel Smith led a 54-hour healing walk with a group of 8 participants that started in New York and flew to Detroit, where we stayed for 2 nights. On that walk, we visited the site of Nigel's past trauma. We made a performance in downtown Detroit after gathering the concerns and worries from the public, and projected words onto abandoned buildings to give them voices. Finally, we volunteered at an urban farm to feed the hungry. So how does Elastic City transform our idea of the city? Through its sounds, by investigating its materiality, through its shadows, by using Gestalt psychology, by creating and interpreting visual poetry. How does this change from city to city, or from neighborhood to neighborhood, or block to block? So it reminds me of when I was in Tel Aviv, I had given a sound walk, and the next day I got a call from someone and she said, you know, Todd, I'm walking down the street and I'm hearing everything differently. You know, and for me, this was like, right, I guess I should continue with this. Anyway, you're all being very patient, so let me show you now a video, a brief 3-minute video of a walk that I gave entitled Forever 21 with Juan Bettencourt. It's a walk in Midtown Manhattan for eternal youth.
We're in the heart of the Diamond District. Now you see it's nighttime, all the diamonds have been taken away, the cases are empty. Walk through the remainder of this street, looking at your reflection. You are the diamonds. You are the ones that shine. Smile at yourself. We are in L'Oreal's headquarters for New York. This is also a public space. This is like a temple of beauty. Wear these glasses, look upwards, and bask in the glow. Everyone is going to have their moment to shine now. We're going to go one at a time, and we're going to take your glamour shot. Write down your individual secret for staying young. Yeah. Do you have any products for eternal youth?
Eternal youth? Yeah. You may have now, this will copy this dark circle, and then we'll prepare the future. Yeah, so you'll stay as you are.
Can I try that?
Absolutely.
What we're attaching to our necklace are the secrets to eternal youth that everyone wrote down. Pass this necklace from one person to another to charge it with our energy. What we'd like to do now that this necklace is charged is to place the necklace inside of the store of Forever 21 to symbolize the false commercial promise of eternal youth. If we can have a participant who will take the necklace and place it alongside the necklace rack while we look through the windows, discreetly, of course, that would be great. Anyone want to do it?
One other exercise out with us. This is sound memory exercise. So imagine that there's a basketball hoop. Yeah, we don't do that. And you have a basketball and you're dribbling the basketball. Imagine what it sounds like to dribble the basketball. And then you're about to make a shot. And imagine that you toss the ball up and it hits the rim. And the ball bounces down. And then you get the ball again, you make the shot, and it's a cloth net. It swishes right in. Then you make another shot, it's a metal net. So we all have this vocabulary of sounds that we work with. As for the future of Elastic City, we're becoming a nonprofit, and it looks likely we'll be going into New York public schools and offering classes to high school students on the walk as a generative art form. I'm teaching a course at Pratt, The Walk as Poem, where students write from their experience and also create a walk as their final project. So I'm looking for different ways and different walks to expand the genre, and I want the walks to be more visible within the critical dialogue, perhaps to have their own section within the arts in an international paper. I'm told the walks are easily ingrained into one's memory and have a tendency to pop up in the present. So we walk every day very attuned specifically to our daily routines. So many things, so many beautiful things can happen when we shape that up.